first element is war, faith, fidelity, agreement, from the Proto-Indo-European root vero, true, trustworthy, which also leads to the Latin word veritas, sometimes thought of by the Romans as the personification of truth, and related to such English words as verify and veracity. So, literally, a warlock is a truth liar. Now this brings us back to the concept of truth, the opposite of lies and deceptions, opposing ideas which you'll remember as the opposing forces in Zoroastrian, Asha, and Druge. There are a number of words in English that mean truth, including the now somewhat archaic word sooth. The Old English form soth was actually quite common and comes from the Proto-Indo-European root s that supplies several of the forms of the irregular verb to be, such as is and am, as well as words such as yes, essence, and sin. Though the word sooth today is somewhat obscure, the compound soothsayer, meaning a fortune teller or prophet, is rather more well known, being used for instance to describe Tiresias in the Oedipus story, along with seer, literally one who sees. The word truth itself has a fascinating etymology. It goes back to the Proto-Indo-European root dero, to be firm, solid, steadfast, which also has the specialized senses of tree and wood, especially oak, including the word tree itself. It's also the second element in the word ausatru, a term used to refer to a neo-pagan group focused on the Old Norse mythological tradition, which means literally faith or allegiance to the Aesir, the pantheon of Norse gods. And we've already seen that first element as the root lying behind the name of the Zoroastrian god Ahura Mazda. The Norse, by the way, also had their own tradition of magic, called Seidr, associated with the gods Odin and Freya. The word Seidr comes from the Proto-Indo-European root sai, meaning to bind or tie, which also has the derivatives sinew and secular, which originally as Latin saeculum meant age, span of time, and came to mean worldly, not religious. Other derivatives of deru, solid tree, are dryad, a tree nymph in Greek mythology, and druid, the high-ranking priestly class who also wielded considerable secular power among the Celtic peoples. So, the Druids are another example of a priestly class, like the Magi and the clergy, who are also mistrusted by external cultures, in this case, the Romans during the Roman Britain period. The second element of the word druid comes from the Proto-Indo-European wade, to see, which has such other derivatives as vision, view, and evident, as well as wise, wisdom, and wit. So, a druid is someone who is wise about trees. And from the word wise, we also get, in the Middle English period, the word wizard, literally a wise man, but it soon gained the more specific sense of a magician. Also from this root, we get the Old English term Witenagemot, referring to the council of advisors to the king in Anglo-Saxon England, who technically were in charge of electing the kings. Though this political body didn't survive past the Norman conquest of England, it seems to have been the inspiration behind J.K. Rowling's Wizengamot, the wizard court of law in the Harry Potter world, obviously also playing off the word wizard. But, as we've seen, the word wizard comes from the same root anyway. And in any case, the wizards we know today, such as Albus Dumbledore and Gandalf, are also quite wise and indeed witty. And all this talk about wizards and magic brings us to our conclusion, tying many of these elements together, specifically to the deck-building game Magic the Gathering, published by the games company Wizards of the Coast, who, by the way, are also the current publishers of Dungeons & Dragons, after they bought out its original company TSR. In various versions of D&D, different levels of magicians, or magic users as they were called in the game, were known by specific words, many of which we've covered in this video, such as seer, magician, enchanter, warlock or witch, sorcerer, necromancer, and wizard. The game Magic the Gathering, which also has magic users known as mages, by the way, was developed by Richard Garfield, who had been a combinatorial mathematics doctoral student at the University of Pennsylvania, and apparently he created it so that he and his friends would have something to do while they waited for everyone to turn up for their D&D games. Garfield has two other claims to fame. His great-great-grandfather was James A. Garfield, a rather minor U.S. president, having been assassinated within his first year in office. And his granduncle, Samuel B. Fay, invented the paperclip. Unless you ask the Norwegians, who had their own candidate for this honor, Johan Valar, whose version of the paperclip was adopted as a symbol of resistance against the Nazis, after pins or badges bearing national symbols were banned. As for Magic the Gathering itself, it originally had an aspect of gambling, since according to the original rules, one was supposed to ante up a card in order to play, which the winner would then be able to claim at the end of the game. And even now, the packs come with random assortments of rare cards, which can be quite valuable. So, whether it's card tricks or tarot cards, or the 3-card Monte Con, or Magic the Gathering, or all the way back to exotic Zoroastrian priests and self-fulfilling prophecies, falsely accused witches and crystal ball-gazing wizards, it seems perhaps that for magic, luck, deception, and shifting perceptions have always been on the cards. Thanks for watching. My special thanks to my friend and fellow YouTuber Andrew of Religion for Breakfast, who suggested this topic and helped me out with the crucial definition of magic. Why not check out his video, What is the History of Magic Wands, for more on that topic. If you've enjoyed these etymological explorations and cultural connections, please subscribe and click the little bell to be notified of every new episode. And check out our Patreon, where you can make a contribution to help me make more videos. I'm at Alliterative on Twitter, and you can visit our website, alliterative.net, for more language and connections in our podcast blog.
The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in
Do you drink those or keep saving them?
Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society.
Oh, it's Nog o'clock. Paragon till death. I know. He's knitting. He's working out. Does it look like he's doing, bro? Do you even drink, bro? Young Camel, tell us go.
Every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business.
Hey, Young, that sounds very interesting. What are you listening to? This is God speaking. This is what God sounds like.
Who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind.
We're going to play some jams in about 5 minutes, man.
To bind and guide the world.
In about 5 minutes, we're going to start the
jams. The nephew of Sigmund Freud, and a pioneering mind behind advertising, modern propaganda, and the field of public relations. Bernays' influence was enormous. Relying heavily on the insights of his uncle, he developed highly successful manipulation techniques which are still used today, not only by companies to sell consumer products, but also by the powers that be to, in the words of Bernays, control and regiment the masses. In this video, we'll explore some of Bernays' most intriguing ideas, paying particular attention to his insights on how group psychology can be used to control and manipulate the masses. In his classic work, Group Psychology and the Analysis of the Ego, Sigmund Freud...
I never heard him talk before.
Concerned with the individual.
You drink coconut nog? Yes. Cheeks first, of course. Young, what should I do with the $1,000 I made today? You gotta hang out enough to hear him speak. Young Camel Toe. Young Camel Toe comes to the chat every once in a while. It's a rare blue moon camel toe.
The tendency of human beings to form groups was selected for in our evolutionary past due to the survival benefits it offered. Ancient humans who organized into tribes were more likely to survive and reproduce in the harsh environments in which they lived. However, with the help of modern technologies, humans today have transformed the environment in a manner which renders the survival value of tribal organization obsolete. But with that said, the ancient and instinctual pull of tribal organization still looms large in the lives of most, with many people today identifying and hence stereotyping both themselves and others based on things such as race, class, gender, nationality, religion, or the political party or ideology to which one adheres. This continued proclivity to engage in group identification is, according to Bernays, a function of the enlarged sense of self-importance that individuals derive from identifying with a potentially powerful mass. Just as the wolf pack is many times as strong as the combined strength of its individual members, so too the individual senses the potential power of the group, and it derives feelings of potency in identifying with it. Beginning in the late 19th century, a number of thinkers, most notably Freud and Gustave Le Bon, attempted to understand why people engage in group identification and how group identification affects one's mind and behavior. As Bernays noted, the insights that emerged from this study caught the attention of those in positions of power who wanted to expand their control of societies. These people saw the potential of taking the theoretical insights of group psychology and transforming them into practical methods that could be used to manipulate the masses from outside of the public's eye, a task which formed the basis of Bernays' work in public relations. As Bernays explained in his book, Propaganda, the systematic study of mass psychology revealed the potentialities of invisible government of society by manipulation of the motives which actuate man in the group. These studies established that the group has mental characteristics distinct from those of the individual, and is motivated by impulses and emotions which cannot be explained on the basis of what we know of individual psychology. So the question naturally arose: If we understand the mechanism and motives of the group mind, is it not possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing it? The great potential of using insights from group psychology to control the masses is partly a function of the fact that an individual can be influenced by a group or crowd even when physically isolated. As Bernays pointed out in his book, Crystallizing Public Opinion, a crowd does not mean merely a physical aggregation of a number of persons. The crowd is rather a state of mind. So long as one engages in group identification, their mind and behavior will be changed by the enduring influence of group psychology, even with no other members of the group physically present. To understand how the tendency of human beings to engage in group identification renders the masses manipulable, we must turn to one of Freud's ideas, which heavily influenced the manipulation techniques developed by Bernays. In his book Propaganda, published in 1928, Bernays explained, "It is chiefly the psychologists of the school of Freud who have pointed out that many of man's thoughts and actions are compensatory substitutes for desires which he has been obliged to suppress. A thing may be desired not for its intrinsic worth or usefulness, but because he has unconsciously come to see in it a symbol of something else, the desire for which he is ashamed to admit to himself. A man buying a car may think he wants it for purposes of locomotion. He may really want it because it is a symbol of social position, an evidence of his success in business, or a means of pleasing his wife. What Freud suggested is that often there is a divorce between one's conscious thoughts and feelings and desires which do not fit with one's self-image and which are therefore suppressed. This fact, Bernays recognized, renders human beings manipulable. For what it implies is that if one can design propaganda or psychological operations that bypass the conscious and rational faculties of the individual,
It's young Camel
targeting
talking
instead
used to. Why are there?
and hidden desires, it is possible
Is he
to move
always
people
like this?
to adopt
Yes.
beliefs and
Flarpy.
behaviors without them being
Also,
aware
hi
of the
Flarpy. Hey
underlying
Paragon. Why is
motivations
listening to
leading the mind.
an
As
analysis of
Bernays
Freud?
explained, men are
Hell, we
very
a
largely
collective group.
actuated
When
by
does he
motives which
graduate
they
to 2
conceal
cases
from
per hand?
themselves. It is evident that the
Good
successful
question.
propagandist must understand the true motives, and not be content to accept the reasons which men give for what they do. It is possible, although often difficult, for an individual to become aware of the underlying motives driving their beliefs and actions through honest and critical introspection. However, once one succumbs to the effects of group identification, such critical introspection becomes nearly impossible. A group is extraordinarily credulous and open to influence, wrote Freud. It has no critical faculty. In identifying with a group, the individual subordinates self-analysis and a discerning search for the truth in favor of maintaining group interests and cohesion. And with their critical capacities weakened by the influence of group psychology, they become highly susceptible to psychological operations designed to target suppressed or unconscious desires and emotions. In the modern day, there appears to be forces operating through the mainstream media and popular culture which are attempting to increase the individual's proclivity to engage in certain types of group identification, namely, identifications that divide the population into conflicting groups. This phenomenon has potentially dire consequences for both the stability and freedom of a society, as it allows those in power to institute the age-old tactic of divide and conquer. In his book, Discourses on Livy, Machiavelli noted
Amazing type of day. Possibilities are endless. Calm and relaxed, chilling in LA. I'm beautiful on the inside and out. My voice matters. Love to the universe. Love to the universe. Smart, take a deep breath. Success, I'm blessed. Thankful for another day. Feeling so much happiness. Everything is for my higher good. I smile in the hood. Positivity, creativity. love you. All my dreams come true. No matter what I do, I am everything. I am you. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. Flew down in my jet, landed on the strip, slippery wet. Went to the garage, jumped in my jet, stepped the gas, driving real fast. Police went past, didn't ask, got some ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. Girl, Sherry, real big booty. Took her to my house, popped her cherry. Said she's a thought, don't marry. I got ass cheeks in my face. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got ass cheeks, ass cheeks, ass cheeks. I got ass cheeks, ass cheeks, ass cheeks. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got God, this is AIDS, this is AIDS. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. I got ass cheeks, ass cheeks, ass cheeks. I got ass cheeks in my face, in my face. Ass cheeks, ass cheeks, ass. Chat died on me. We probably from toilet. I got ass cheeks. We just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube, man. Shouts out everybody who just subscribed, man. I appreciate y'all, man. We just did it, man. Ass cheeks in my face. Plan B. I'm a billionaire, I'm child free. Women flock to me. Women flock to me. I'm a billionaire, I ain't child free. Women flock to me. Women flock to me. I'm a billionaire, I am child free. Women flock to me. So I'm gonna let it be. Child free. Flock to me. Flock to me. Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out, meditation. I love ice cream, I love ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, mint chocolate chip, cookie dough, I'm through, berry farm ice cream, mint chocolate chip, Man, chocolate chip. Calories, come out for serving. Hey man, this is Young Camelto, man. We just hit 1 million subscribers, man. We did it. What's up, Parrot Power? Thanks for subscribing, dog. What's happening, John Scott, man? Young Camelto is the best rapper ever, man. That's what I'm talking about. The fun part of the internet again. Nah, I hear ya. Vitamin C, calcium I do not see. Miriam, blah, blah, blah. Cereal for a container. I'm out here with that ice and the cream. Ice and the cream. Ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. This is basically it. We watch him chew with his mouth open. Playing video games. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. He said, so this is it. We just watch him. That's facts, man. Hey, hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm in an Uber.
Oh, you're in Uber everywhere.
I know. Well, I have the rental, but Jim has a bottle in 1942, so I'm not driving anywhere.
Right, but have you ever heard the song Uber Everywhere?
Of course I have.
Alright, well, that's basically what I was saying, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just eating some asparagus.
You're not nice, but like, instead of turning them olives, just a straight. Sorry about that. What are you up to?
I'm eating asparagus. You said you're in an Uber with who?
I'm headed to them.
Oh, champagne time?
1942.
Oh.
Tequila.
Oh, you guys are gonna have a good old time.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, Ben moved.
She moved.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's actually closer to me by like 2 blocks.
Oh, nice.
But it's a more secure building, so.
Okay. Okay. She's making changes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's closer.
Huh? Say that again?
Thanks very much. Easy. I can take my mask off. You can hear me better.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, I guess, I was right. My thoughts were right. My little premonition about Sam and her friend. She was upset.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna cheer her up. But, anyway, I just got here to check in and they have to let me up, so.
All right. Yeah, have a good time. I'm yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep early today. I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a mechanic
Alright.
tomorrow.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm
Alright.
car shopping soon.
You said what?
I'm gonna be car shopping?
Right. You'll be buying cars and I'll be fixing them. How about that?
That's great.
What a fun universe.
Alright. Well, have a great day. Have a great time.
Alright. You as well.
Alright.
Alright.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was nice of you, young camel toe. Oh, young camel toe. What is the first positivity song you played? I can't find it anywhere. What was the lyrics?
That those who have held power over a population have long realized that a population united is always stronger than those who rule over it, and thus stretching back into ancient times, rulers have sought to divide the many and weaken the force which was strong while it was united through the use of those methods which promote division. By dividing a population along lines such as race, class, religion, gender, or political preference, or in other words, into groups naturally prone to clash, the effects of group psychology render rational discourse and debate between individuals in these separate groups extremely unlikely. Each group, Bernays wrote, considers its own standards ultimate and indisputable, and tends to dismiss all contrary or different standards as indefensible. Unable to settle differences in opinions via rational discourse, groups whose belief structures clash tend to revert to more destructive means in their attempt to defeat those they perceive as a threat. A society dominated
your progeny don't exist. There's no one here to speak for you. But if we exist today, that's because our ancestors were the ones who said, actually, no, I'm tired, I'm done, but I can't be done because I need to complete the goal. The mission's got to be complete. And so there's this overhang of this now, which is, as you say, the unproductive part of that is that we are really bad at letting things go as a species. You open up a loop for me and you don't tie the loop off, I hate it. Don't tell me half a story. Don't teach me half a skill. Don't tell me to read half a book or watch half a movie. Humans hate that. We all hate that. Yeah. And it's productive in some contexts when it's good for us to finish what we start. But we're not in prehistoric times anymore. We're not hunter-gatherers in the same way. And so you get these experiences on a screen. Suddenly you're playing Candy Crush, and the old hunter-gatherer in you who says, I can't give up on this experience till it's done because otherwise I'm not going to survive, kicks in, and suddenly you're playing 14 hours of Candy Crush or 6 hours of Flappy Bird. So I think it is a hijacking of some of the traits that were incredibly adaptive and beneficial in those evolutionary contexts, but don't make a lot of sense in the modern world in some contexts.
It's so strange that these traits would translate to Flappy Bird. I mean, it is right. It's really weird. It's really weird that these things that would have helped our ancestors survive, they can be hijacked.
Yeah, I mean, look at, so I'm a runner. I'm not extremely fast. I don't run insane distances, but I find ultra running absolutely fascinating. And I find elite marathon running fascinating. There's no good reason to do an ultra. There are a lot of good reasons that are kind of intrinsic, like the reward. I would love to do one day. But that is a hijacking in the same way. I mean, this is just kind of it's a chip that is in there and it works for us, and it worked for us in prehistoric times. But it doesn't distinguish between the occasions when it's going to work well for us and when it's going to work badly. I mean, it's the same with food, right? That desire for sugar, that craving for sugar, for salt, for fat. If you were roaming the savannah, and you were looking for
possibilities, creativity,
calorie-rich, calorie-dense, that was going to be good for you, that was going to sustain you.
It's called All My Dreams Come True by Young Camel Toe. Hello, you have a hole in your pants. Yes, that's true. It's called All My Dreams Come True.
They have an endless font of foods that are going to give them those things in massive surplus, and that's hugely problematic. It's exactly the same with the brain responding to rewards, to mastery. why we do crosswords, why we play games that get progressively more difficult, that suck up more and more of our time. It's a huge part of it.
The ultra marathon running thing is particularly interesting to me because one of my very good friends does it. His name's Cameron Haynes, and he runs these 3-hour or 3-day races where they run 240 miles. He did the Moab 240. He's done the Bigfoot race, which is 200 miles. You're going through the mountain, and I think he, interestingly enough, he got involved in that because he is a hunter, and he wanted to have better endurance to hunt in the mountains. And so he started getting obsessed with running marathons, then ultra marathons, and these crazy multiple-day endurance races. But it's literally for him that thing that we're talking about, these ancient traits that allowed persistence, allowed you to be a successful hunter through that persistence and through that dedication and focus and discipline. He's sort of got stuck in this where he's just insane with it. He'll run a marathon a day, multiple days in a row to prepare for these things, where they used to tell you have to have 6 months off when you run a marathon, right? That was ancient wisdom. Like, your body's so broken down after running 26 miles. No, he runs a marathon every day.
Have you seen the Sri Chinmoy Challenge? I wrote a piece about ultramarathons.
Say it again. What is it called?
It's Sri Chinmoy, SRI, and then Chinmoy, CHINMOY.
I've heard that
Sri
term.
Chinmoy.
I've heard that term.
It's this insane. So what you do is you go to Brooklyn. I think it starts in May or June. You go to Brooklyn and there's this little block around a school. It's a nondescript block. There's nothing special about it. And you run 3,100 miles over about 60 days. Yeah. There's no scenery. I can understand running the Moab. I would love to do the Moab, the Western States, bad water. I'm very attracted to the idea of doing that, and I can totally understand why that could be a life-changing experience. But running around a half-mile block thousands of times.
Thanks. Hey, dude.
6,000
Have a
times,
nice day. Enjoy your week.
I struggle to understand that. But again, for people who do that, it's all about just pushing yourself, and it's about the challenge and stripping it of its beauty, like making it in a place that's not beautiful. It's a city block. Makes no sense. That then just kind of exaggerates that it's all about completing the quest. The only reason people will do that is because there is that part of us. That's an extreme expression of that tendency. But we all have some of that in us, and especially people who are high on conscientiousness, who are kind of tenacious. There's something about that that's really compelling, and it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, there's something about completing tasks that gives you this little spark of dopamine, right? Something gets you excited. And the more difficult the task, the better the feeling is when you've completed it. I've never run an ultra marathon, but what is the longest you've ran?
I absolutely punished myself running the New York City Marathon 10 years ago. It was hell. I remember I crossed the finish line completely depleted. And I know this sounds a bit silly after we've been talking about the Sri Chinmoy 3,100 mile challenge, but after 26 miles, I was just done. And I hadn't eaten enough food. I remember crossing the line and this woman put a medal around my neck and she said, how did that feel? And I said, that was hell. I'm never going to run another marathon. She said to me, yeah, that's what everyone says, but I'll see you next year. And I've got to say, I have stuck to that. I am never running another marathon. It nearly killed me.
Did you just not prepare enough for it?
No, I prepared really quite well for it. But what I didn't prepare for was the ordeal of trying to get to the starting line at Staten Island. I mean, it's hell. So I ate my breakfast at, 3 a.m.? And then the race begins at something like 9 or 10 in the morning, depending on which wave you're in. And so I had some food with me, but I didn't budget for that 6 or 7 hour period. So I remember being at the starting line and being absolutely famished. I was starving, which is a terrible place to begin. So I was the guy running along the course, just like asking spectators if they had food, like mashing bananas in my face. I was just eating constantly throughout that whole race because I was so hungry. So that was my biggest problem. I mean, I think I should probably do another one where I get the right nutrition, because I'd probably be able to do a lot better and enjoy it a lot more. And I do run a lot. I still run pretty regularly around where I live, like between 8 and 12 miles. But the idea of training it for another marathon, I also have 2 young kids. It's just not something I have that much time for right now.
Why did you eat breakfast so early?
because that's when I left home. The bus you had to take, so the way it worked was you had to go uptown. I live downtown in Manhattan. You had to go and get a bus at 3 a.m. That took, I don't know why it took so long, but it took forever to get to Staten Island. It's cold because it's November in New York. It was just unpleasant. I think the key is to run a marathon that you just show up, you drive your car to the marathon starting line, you get out and you start running. That's what I need to do next time. Because the New York City Marathon is an incredible spectacle, millions of people watching. It was one of the most, and not every decision needs to be made for long-term well-being. I do stuff, I find myself on YouTube for hours at a time.
She's like, look how crazy this is. This is a whole article that's written about someone who decided to say something negative about something some celebrity had done, and then it becomes this huge art, and then the tweets are prominently featured, right? And then the response to those, like really, like arbitrary, like right. Weird.
Because it's a values blind system that just cares about what will get attention.
Exactly, and that's what the article was.
Everyone loves chicken, man. Buy your evil nose. Exactly. I'm a billionaire. Plan B, plan B, plan B, plan B, plan B, plan B, plan B. I'm a billionaire, child free. Woman flock to me. Woman flock to me. I'm a billionaire. I am child free. Woman flock to me. Woman flock to me. I'm a billionaire. I am child free. Woman flock to me. Told me to be child free. Flock to me. I love you so, I love you so, I love you so, I love you so. Falling, falling, and I'm falling, I'm falling. I know what you do when you do it. I love you. You love me. We're just friends, especially 69, 69, 69, 69. I don't wanna die. Love you. Right off the bridge from the coast. Dancing in the dark. Pussy in the home. It's our last dance. Lick me, lick me, lick me. Young, I'm already dead. 22, 22. What's your take your pain? Keep trying. Your heart's worth dying. that I got pussy today. Thank you, God. Love you. Oh my gosh, we just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube, man. What's up? We did it, man.
So it's just an attention grab.
It's interesting because Prince Harry and Meghan have become very interested in these issues and are actually working on these issues and getting to know them just a little bit.
Are they really?
Yeah, well,
because it affects them personally.
Well, it's actually interesting. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but I think Meghan has been the target of the most vitriol, hate-oriented stuff on the planet, right? From just the amount of sort of criticism that they get,
really,
and scrutiny. Yeah, I mean, she's just like news feeds filled with hate about just what she looks like, what she says, just constantly. And
I'm out of the loop. I've never seen anything. She's pretty. What do they think she looks like?
Honestly, I don't follow it myself because I don't fall into these attention traps. I try not to, but she just faces the worst vitriol. I mean, this is the thing with teen bullying, right? So I think they work on these issues because teenagers are now getting a micro version of this thing where each of us are scrutinized, you know? And I think that's what's not, I mean, think about what celebrity status does and how it screws up humans in general, right? Like take an average celebrity, like it warps your mind, it warps your psychology, and you get scrutiny, right? When you suddenly are Each person gets thousands or millions in a few years. Each of us have
Subscribe to
tens of
Young
thousands,
Camel
hundreds of
Toes
thousands of people
YouTube,
following what we
man.
say. That's a lot of of
We
feedback.
just hit a million
And, you know, as Jonathan Haidt
subscribers.
says in the film, and I know you've had him here,
Yeah.
you know, it's made kids much more cautious and less risk-taking and more bullied overall. And there's huge problems with mental health around this.
Yeah, it's really bad for young girls, right?
Especially
for
10 to
celebrities,
14-year-olds.
and I've had quite a few celebrities in here, and we've discussed it. I just tell them that you can't read that stuff. Just don't read it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no good in it. Like, I had a friend, she did a show, she's a comedian, she did a show, and she was talking about this one negative comment that was inaccurate. It said she only did a half an hour and her show sucked. She's like, fuck her, this now. I go, why are you reading that? She's like, because it's mostly positive. I go, but how come you're not talking about most of it then? We're talking about this one person.
Yeah.
This one negative person. We're both laughing about it. Like, she's healthy. You know,
Right.
she's not completely fucked up by it, but this one person got into her head. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze. But don't read those things.
But this is exactly right, and this is based on how our minds work. I mean, our minds literally have something called negativity bias. So if you have 100 comments and 99 are positive and one is negative, just where does the average human's mind go?
Right. They go to the negative.
And,
Yeah.
and it also goes to the negative even when you shut down the screen. Your mind is sitting there looping on that negative comment. And
Right.
why? Because evolutionarily, it's really important that we look at social approval, negative social approval, because our reputation is at stake in the tribe.
Yes.
So it matters.
Yes.
But it's never been easier now for not just that one comment to sort of gain more airtime, but then for that to build a hate mob and then to see the interconnected clicks, and I can go in and see 10 other people that responded to that are negative.
Yes.
And so, especially when you have teenagers that are exposed to this, and you can keep going down the tree and see all of the hate fest on you. This is the psychological environment that is the default way that kids are growing up now.
Yeah.
I actually faced this recently with the film itself, because actually the film has gotten just crazy positive acclaim for the most part, and there's just a few, you know, negative comments, and for myself even, right?
Here comes a conjunction, but
I was glued to a few negative comments, and then you could click and you would see other people that you know who positively like or respond to those comments. Like, why did that person say that negative thing? I thought we were friends. That whole kind of.
That's some good fried chicken, boy. Who make this fried
Fried
chicken?
chicken, boy.
That's
Some
fried
fried
tortilla.
tortilla.
Woo!
That's some fried chicken. Eating fried chicken like a ball. Eating fried chicken when I'm ball. Eating fried chicken at your mom's. Eating fried chicken when I lick the pussy. Eating fried chicken when I lick all the groceries. Eating fried chicken out your mom's. Fried chicken, gotta eat my fried chicken. Gotta eat my fried chicken. Gotta eat my fried chicken. Eat my fried chicken, gotta eat my fried chicken. Fried chicken when I read on my Bible. Fried chicken when I look at my title. Fried chicken when I'm looking on Google. Fried chicken when I'm going to a school dump. Fried chicken when I'm born. Fried chicken when I'm going to outer space in the mall. Fried chicken is my life.
Fried chicken is my wife.
Fried chicken is my damn. Fried chicken is my Gladys Knight. Fried chicken.
Woo! Hey, pass me the fried chicken, man. Hold on.
Ski, ski, ski.
Hey, give me the
Hey,
barbecue
give me the
sauce.
barbecue sauce. Fried chicken when I'm looking at TV. Fried chicken when I'm watching cartoons. Fried chicken, my fried chicken. Fried chicken, gotta eat my fried chicken. Gotta eat my fried chicken. Fried chicken, fried chicken, fried chicken, fried chicken. Duck, duck, goose, goose, fried chicken. Duck, duck, goose, goose, fried chicken.
Hey, pass me that chicken, fam. I need some more, man.
I
I know
need
it's my
4
third
pieces, man. I need 4 pieces, man. This shit better than Popeyes, man. This shit better than Popeyes, man. Fried chicken when I'm my holy savior. Fried chicken is my holy savior. Fried chicken is my angel. Like my angel wings, let me love chicken wings. I like to eat my chicken wings. Chicken, 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 fried chicken, 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 chicken. It is bitchin' fried chicken, is my bitchin' fried chicken, is my bitchin' fried chicken, is my life. Fried chicken is my wife. Fried chicken when I'm in there. Fried chicken in hell. Fried chicken probably tastes better in hell. Fried chicken, 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 fried chicken. Don't pass me the fried chicken, man. No, give me your fried chicken, man. I need more fried chicken, man. It's like crack, man.
I need more
I
fried
need
chicken.
more fried chicken. Fried chicken in my God, holy Savior. Fried chicken in my holy Savior. Fried chicken.
That's some good fried chicken, boy. Who made this fried
Who
chicken?
made this fried chicken?
Pastor
Tapatio. Ooh, fried chicken. Eating fried chicken at the mall. Eating fried chicken when I'm ball. Eating fried chicken with your mom. Eating fried chicken when I lick the pussy. Eating fried chicken when I lick all the groceries out of her ass. Eating fried chicken at your mom's ass. You gotta eat my fried chicken. 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 Fried chicken when I read on my title. Fried chicken when I look at my title. Fried chicken when I'm looking on Google. Fried chicken when I'm going to go scuba diving. Fried chicken when I serve fried chicken. I want fried chicken when I go to outer space in the mall. Fried chicken in my life. Fried chicken in my life. Fried chicken in my life. Fried chicken in my life is nice. Fried chicken.
Woo! Hey, pass me the fried chicken, man.
Fried chicken.
Hey, give me the barbecue sauce, bro.
Fried chicken when I'm looking at
J-Dub!
I like to play my Wii with my Wii. Wii. I like to play with my Wii. I like to play my Wii. I like to play my Wii. My Wii. Oh my God.
Mario!
Legends of Zelda. Back before the time, Tetris when I run. Super Mario 64. Legends of the past.
Metroid Prime,
Shoot you on your ass.
Pokemon,
Red, blue, and green. Oh my God, boy.
I like to play with my Wii.
I like to play my Wii. I like to play my Wii with my Wii. Wii.
Mario!
I like to play with my Wii.
Donkey Kong!
I like to play with my Wii. I like to play my Wii. Mario Galaxy. Mike Tyson punching. WarioWare Inc. When I think Smash Bros. Melee F-Zero's GX.
Fire Emblem
Awakening Banjo-Kazooie.
Pokemon, GoldenEye 64.
I like to play with my Wii. I like to play my Wii.
Kirby!
I like to play my Wii with my Wii. 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 Blasters. I like to play with my Wii. I like to play my Wii.
Tennis.
I like to play my Wii with my Wii. Wii.
Advance Wars, Wario Land 4, Metro Zero Mission, Mario, Luigi, that is Superstition, Zelda, Legend Remains with the Pokemon X and Y, Tetris DS when I put.
When is the music video releasing for that song, please? Change my love ice cream. I might have to make the video tonight. I can't wait for the visuals. That's more than will fit in any bucket I've seen. This track is some freshest business, ski. Getting buckets from KFC in your bones. Spicy Chick-fil-A can't beat. Young Camel Toe, did you not get a PS5? Time to play some Christmas music. You still on that last gen system? Need to make that investment, bro. Fried chicken from where? KFC, Popeyes. I'm 22 years old, man. Of course, man. Young camel toe is 22 years old. Young camel toe is 22 years old. Young camel toe is 22 years old.
Psychology, and we're all vulnerable to it. Unless you learn, as you said, to tell your celebrity friends, just don't pay attention.
Even mild stuff, I've seen people fixate on. Even a mild disagreement or mild criticism, people fixate on. And it's also a problem because you realize that someone's saying this and you're not there and you can't defend yourself. So you have this like, feeling of helplessness, like, hey, that's not true.
Right.
I didn't. And then you don't get it out of your system. You never get to express it.
And people can share that false negative stuff. I mean, not all negative stuff is false, but you can assert things and build on the hate fest, right? And start going crazy and saying this person's a white supremacist or this person's even worse. And that'll spread to thousands and thousands of people. And next thing you know, you check into your feed again at 8 p.m. that night, and your whole reputation's been destroyed.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know what happened to you.
Well,
and it's happening to teenagers too. I mean, they're anxious. Like I'll post, teenager will post a photo, their high school, they make a dumb comment without thinking about it, and then next thing they know, at the end of the day, the parents are all calling because like 300 parents saw it and are calling up the parent of that kid, and it's we talk to teachers a lot in our work at the Center for Humane Technology, and they will say that on Monday morning, this is before COVID, but on Monday morning they spend the first hour of class having to clear all the drama that happened on social media from the weekend for the kids.
Jeez.
And again, this...
And these kids are in what age group?
This was 8th, 9th, 10th grade, that kind of thing.
And the other problem with these kids is there's not a long history of people growing up through this kind of influence and successfully navigating it. No. These are the pioneers.
Yeah, and they won't know anything different, which is why we talk about in the film, they're growing up in this environment. Mm-hmm. And one of the simplest principles of ethics is the ethics of symmetry, doing unto others as you would do to yourself. And as we say at the end of the film, one of the easiest ways you know that there's a problem here is that many of the executives at the social media tech companies don't let their own kids use social media.
Right.
They literally say at the end of the film, we have a rule about it, we're religious about it, we don't do it. Mm-hmm. The CEO of Lunchables Foods didn't let his own kids eat Lunchables. That's when you know. If you talk to a doctor or a doctor, and you say, would you get this surgery for your own kid? They say, oh no, I would never do that. Would you trust that doctor?
Right.
And it's yes, let us live. This is the relationship where we have a relationship of asymmetry, and technology is influencing all of us, and we need a system by which...
That's the best exercise,
when I was growing up,
man.
I grew up on the Macintosh and technology, and I was creatively doing programming projects and whatever else. The people who built the technology I was using would have their own kids use the things that I was using, because they were creative, and they were about tools and empowerment. And that's what's changed. We don't have that anymore, because the business model took over. And so instead of having just tools sitting there like hammers waiting to be used to build, creative projects, or programming to invent things, or paintbrushes or whatever, we now have a manipulation-based technology environment where everything you use has this incentive to not only addict you, but to have you play the fame lottery, get social feedback, because those are all the things that keep people's attention.
Isn't this also a problem with these information technologies being attached to corporations that have this philosophy of unlimited growth?
Yes.
So they're no matter how much they make. I applaud Apple, because I think they are the only company that takes steps to protect privacy, to block advertisements, to make sure that at least when you use their Maps app.
This guy drinking coconut nog on the 13th? Definitely not. It's a downward facing dude, you're not familiar. He going ham like a mug. We just finished it, man. We just finished it, dog. I bought 6 of them today.
The meaning of life needs no introduction. just gave the meaning of life an introduction. Difficulties in your life don't come to destroy you, but to help you realize your hidden potential. The meaning of life is whatever you describe it to be. Being alive is meaning. The meaning of life is happiness. The meaning of life is future. The meaning of life is past. The meaning of life is now. The meaning of life is the question of meaning of life. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose is to give it away. Relationships, money, knowledge, government, togetherness, spirituality, religion, God, happiness. Reincarnation? Have I been here before? Do I want to come back? How can I stop? Life is a great teacher. When you don't learn your lessons, you repeat them. We are visitors on this planet. We've been here for millions of years. Seek, O mortal. We must do something good, something useful with our lives. If you contribute to happiness overall, you will have meaning. You will have meaning. Life has no meaning. The moment you lose the illusion of being eternal. So far you survive 100% of your worst days. There is no meaning to life except to find meaning. You're like a dictionary. You add meaning to life. Life would be tragic if it wasn't so funny. The meaning of life is the cosmic joke. To laugh. Forever. Every time I find meaning in life, they keep on changing it. Black holes ain't as black as they're painted. They're not eternal prisons. They were once thoughts. Sorry, the sweater threw me off. Consciousness, just like us. Things can't leave a black hole, just like we can't leave this universe. So get comfortable. No way out. So get comfortable. It's not a case of finding meaning for the moments, but to give the moments meaning. Reproduction, eat, survive. Reproduction, eat, survive. Eat, survive, reproduction. Don't shrink your life into other people's meanings. Have the courage to make your own. Seek, O mortals, the meaning of life is innermost silence. Remember to always give life meaning. Give yourself meaning. Unless you don't want to. What is the meaning of life, other people? What is the meaning of life? God. If my life is going to mean anything, I have to live it myself. The meaning of life is love. The meaning of life is happiness. The meaning of life is suffering. The meaning of life is to make speeches on the meaning of life. The meaning of life is 22. Life is like a questionnaire. Sometimes the choices are more confusing than the question. I love life more than the meaning of it. The true meaning of life is to plant trees and then climb them when other people are sitting. The meaning of life is to give life meaning.
They're not saving your data and sending it to everybody, and it's one of the reasons why Apple Maps is really not as good as Google Maps. Right? But I use it, and that's one of the reasons why I use it. And when Apple came out recently, and there was they were doing something to block your information being sent to other places, and I forget what was the exact thing that it was.
In the new iOS, they released a thing that blocks the tracking identifiers.
That's right.
And it's not actually out yet. It's going to be out in January or February, I think someone told me. And what that's a good example of they're putting a tax on the advertising industry. Because just by saying you can't track people individually, that takes down the value of an advertisement by like 30% or something.
Here it is.
And when I do Safari, I get this whole privacy report thing.
Right.
It says it's like in the last 7 days prevented 125 trackers from profiling me.
Right.
Yeah, and you can opt out of that if you'd like. If you're like, no, fuck that, track me.
Yep.
Yeah, you can do that. You can let them send your data, but that seems to me a much more ethical approach to be able to decide whether or not these companies get your information.
I mean, those things are great. The challenge is, imagine you get the privacy equation perfectly right.
Look at this. Apple working on its own search engine as Google ties could be cut soon. I started using DuckDuckGo.
Yep.
For that very reason, just because they don't do anything with it. They give you the information, but they don't take your data and do anything with it.
The challenge is, let's say we get all the privacy stuff perfectly right, and data protection and data controls and all that stuff, in a system that's still based on attention and grabbing attention and harvesting and strip mining our brains. You still get maximum polarization, addiction, mental health problems, isolation, teen depression and suicide, polarization, breakdown of truth, right?
Right.
So we really focus in our work on those topics because that's the direct influence of the business model on warping society. Like, we need to name this mind warp. We think of it like the climate change of culture. That these seem like different, disconnected topics. Much like with climate change, you'd say like, okay, we've got species loss in the Amazon. We're losing insects. We've got melting glaciers. We've got ocean acidification. We've got the coral reefs, dying. These can feel like disconnected things until you have a unified model of how emissions change all of those different phenomena, right? In the social fabric, we have shortening of attention spans. We have more outrage-driven news media. We have more polarization. We have more breakdown of truth. We have more conspiracy-minded thinking. These seem like separate events and separate phenomena, but they're actually all part of this attention extraction paradigm that the company's growth, as you said, depends on extracting more of our attention, which means more polarization, more extreme material, more conspiracy thinking, and shortening attention spans. Because we also say, like, if we want to double the size of the attention economy, I want your attention, Joe, to be split into two separate streams. Like, I want you watching the TV, the tablet, and the phone at the same time, because now I've tripled the size of the amount of extractable attention that I can get for advertisers. Which means that by fracking for attention and splitting you into more junk, attention that's like thinner, we can sell that as if it's real attention, like the financial crisis, where you're selling thinner and thinner financial assets as if it's real, but it's really just a junk asset.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of where we are now, where it's sort of the junk attention economy, because we can shorten attention spans and we're debasing the substrate of that makes up our society, because everything in a democracy depends on individual sense-making and meaningful choice, meaningful free will, meaningful independent views. But if that's all basically sold to the highest bidder, that debases the soil from which independent views grow, because all of us are jacked into this sort of matrix of social media manipulation, that's ruining and degrading our democracy. And that's really, there's many other things that are ruining and degrading our democracy, but that's this sort of invisible force that's upstream that affects every other thing downstream. Because if we can't agree on what's true, for example, you can't solve any problem. I think that's what you talked about in your 10-minute thing on the social dilemma. I think I saw on YouTube.
Yeah. Your organization highlights all these issues in an amazing way, and it's very important. But do you have any solutions?
It's hard, right? So I just want to say that this is as complex a problem as climate change, in the sense that you need to change the business model. I think of it like we're on the fossil fuel economy and we have to switch to some kind of beyond that thing, right? Because so long as the business models of these companies depend on extracting attention, can you expect them to do something different? Like,
you can't, but how could you? There's so much money involved, and now they've accumulated so much wealth that they have an amazing amount of influence.
Yep.
And
the asymmetric influence can buy lobbyists, can influence Congress, and prevent things from happening. So this is why it's kind of the last moment. That's right. But I think we're seeing signs of real change. We had the antitrust case that was just filed against Google in Congress. We're seeing more hearings.
What was the basis of that case?
To be honest, I was actually in the middle of the Social Dilemma launch when I think that happened, and my home burned down in the recent fires in Santa Rosa, so I actually missed that happening.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry, that was a big thing to drop. But yeah, no, it's awful. There's so much that's been happening in the last 6 weeks.
I was evacuated 3 times where I lived in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it got real close to our house. Justice Department sues monopolist Google for violating antitrust laws. Department files complaint against Google to restore competition in search and search advertising markets. Okay, so it's all about search.
Yeah, this is right. This was a case that's about Google using its dominant position to privilege its own search engine in its own products and beyond, which is similar to sort of Microsoft bundling in the Internet Explorer browser. But this is all good progress, but really it misses the kind of fundamental harm of these things are warping our society. They're warping how our minds are working, and there's no congressional action against that because it's a really hard problem to solve. I think that the reason the film for me is so important is that if I look at the growth rate of how fast Facebook has been recommending people into conspiracy groups and kind of polarizing us into separate echo chambers, which we should really break down, I think, as well for people, exactly the mechanics of how that happens. But if you look at the growth rate of all of those harms compared to, how fast has Congress passed anything to deal with it, basically not at all.
They seem a little bit unsophisticated in that regard.
It might be an understatement, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be charitable.
I want to be charitable too, and I want to make sure I call out. There's Senator Mark Warner, Blumenthal, several other senators we've talked to have been really on top of these issues and led. I think Senator Warner's white paper on how to regulate the tech platforms is one of the best. It's from 2 years ago in 2018. And Rafi Martina, his staffer, is an amazing human being and works very hard on these issues. So there are some good folks, but when you look at the broad, like the hearing yesterday, it's mostly grandstanding to politicize the issue, right? Because you turn it into, on the right, hey,
I like you. Kids getting smoked. Kids out here smoking 2K. You got the sniffs, my guy. Suga, Ten for 10 sweater, my guy. So